Good day everyone, this is Miss Jai, and in this lesson we will learn about the effects of climate change. Is climate change real? Are you aware of what is happening in our country today in relation to climate change? These questions might help you to uncover the underlying situation by studying this lesson. Specifically, it will help you to bring out social awareness and foster social responsibility on what you can do to lessen the effects of climate change. Okay? Now in this lesson, let us answer the following questions. First, what is climate change? And then what are the causes of climate change? How climate change affects the humanity in general? And lastly, what are the possible solutions for climate change? Now, what is climate change? You have probably heard the terms climate change and global warming used interchangeably. That's because both describe changes in Earth's climate, while global warming focuses on the rising temperature of the planet. Climate change usually refers to the shifts in things like precipitation, wind patterns, and temperatures over a given period. Now, climate change is real, and the evidence is all around us. Measured changes in climate change could last a few years, decades, or even millions of years. Now, climate change has occurred as long as the Earth has existed. It happens anytime as the Earth's climate patterns change and remain placed for a measurable amount of time. So that is the definition, or what is exactly climate change. Now, what are the causes of climate change? It is evident that the global climate change was caused by human activities, and it is a growing threat to society. Let me share with you a few ways how humans are accelerating climate change. First one is greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases play a vital role in the Earth's climate cycles. I believe you're all familiar with greenhouse gases. Now, to explain this one as simple as possible, as the planet gets hit with the sun rays, some of the energy is absorbed and the rest of that energy and heat gets reflected into the space. However, greenhouse gases in the atmosphere traps the energy, reflected energy, redirecting it back down to Earth and eventually contributing to global warming. Not just that, various gases play this role, including water vapor, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, methane, and many more. Too much of those are possibly accelerating climate change. Another one is deforestation. Deforestation and climate change often go hand in hand. Increased deforestation by way of wildfires and other extreme weather is a major contributor to climate change. According to Earth Day Network, deforestation is the second leading contributor to global greenhouse gases. Another one is human activities. Human activities like burning of fossil fuels and transportations are some of the significant contributor to climate change. Burning of fossil fuels for electricity, heat, and transportation is the most significant contributor to climate change. Transportation in the form of cars, trucks, ships, trains, and planes emits the largest percentage of carbon dioxide, speeding up global warming and remaining a significant cause of climate change. Another one is livestock. Now, while interconnected to many agricultural and deforestation issues we have already touched on, livestock in the form of cattle, sheep, pigs, and poultry play a significant role in climate change. Now, According to one study, livestock around the world is responsible for 51% of annual greenhouse gas emission. Now, for melting glaciers to more extreme weather patterns, people everywhere are beginning to take notice of the real impacts of climate change. How? Now, how climate change affects the humanity in general. This part of the lesson will answer that question to help you understand the effects of climate change and help you realize the consequences of personal and local action to global and planetary climate change. Now, the first one is extreme weather. Changes to weather are perhaps the most noticeable effect of climate change for the average person. Extreme weather influenced by climate change includes stronger storms and hurricanes, heat waves and wildfires, more flooding, and heavier droughts. Now, another one is safety and economic challenges. Rising global temperature, changing precipitation patterns, climbing sea levels, and more extreme weather events will intensify the challenges of global instability, hunger, poverty, and conflict. However, climate change is likely to cause economic challenges in many parts of the world. However, putting an exact number on the real cost of losing natural resources is a difficult one once you consider the staggering cost of losing natural resources like clean air and water. Now, the long-term impact of climate change could be absolutely devastating to the planet. First, we have the health. There are many ways in which climate change could impact people's health. Depending on age, location, and economic status, climate change is already affecting the health of many. Another long-term impact is on the ecosystem. Ecosystems are interconnected webs of living organisms that help support all kinds of plant and biological life. Climate change is already changing seasonal weather patterns and disrupting food distribution for plants and animals throughout the world, potentially causing mass extinction events. We also have water and food resources. Climate change could have a significant impact on food and water supplies. Severe weather and increased temperatures will continue to limit crop productivity and increase the demand for water. Another one is sea level rising. Rising sea levels could have far-reaching effects on coastal cities and habitats. Increasing ocean temperatures and melting ice sheets have steadily contributed to the rise of sea levels on a global scale. It can potentially cause floodings, decrease in ocean and wetland habitats. And lastly, shrinking ice sheets. While contributing to rising sea levels, shrinking ice sheets present their own unique sets of problems. This was due to the global temperatures and greenhouse gas. Climate change has driven summer melt of the ice sheets covering Greenland and Antarctica to increase by nearly 30% since 1979. So those are some of the major effects of climate change. While can seem bleak, there is still hope. And yeah, as what I have said, there is still hope. This time we will discuss the steps to address the problems of climate change. How can you personally contribute towards solving the problem of climate change, and what are the consequences of one's action that affect the lives of others and the environment? Navadaan, which is a researcher, suggested that there is a solution to each problem and suggested possible solutions to climate change. Namely, we have stop cutting down trees. Believe it or not, cutting down trees is the prime reason of the climate change. Planting new trees can quickly scale back the speed of the emission of the gases. Another one, control population. More number of individuals suggests that additional demand of resources resulted in the additional usage of or utilization of the earth. Now, putting in simpler words, more number of individuals can cause additional usage, and this leads to climate change. Therefore, yes, if the population is controlled, then climate change can also be controlled. Less use of fossil fuels. The high discharges of the greenhouse gases are diminishing the ozone layer, which gives global warming. It is then one of the major causes of climate change. So we have to use less fossil fuels to avoid or prevent climate change. And then unplug your devices. In almost every house, there are at least a dozen of appliances, which includes air conditioner, television, microwave, washing machines, and others. These devices leads to global warming, hence the climate change. Okay? Focus on renewable energy. Fossil fuels are going to be finished in an exceedingly few decades, and it's time to maneuver towards the renewable energy. In several elements of the globe, several cities are using the energy from the renewable sources of energy, which incorporates wind, solar, tidal, ocean, and many more. And control of methane leaks. Surprisingly, methane is a more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. Every month there is a huge quantity of methane leak from pipelines, storage tanks, other infrastructure, garbage dams, and coal mines. And then tougher emissions and efficiency standards. Now, most of the harmful gases are released either by automobiles or power plants. Now, many countries have already put strict rules in controlling the emissions, so that's a good thing. Experimenting the Earth. There are many experiments being done on Earth which might control climate change. Some ideas like geoengineering, radical interventions to reduce either block sunlight or reduce greenhouse gas are probably the last options to control the climate change. Upgrade infrastructure. Now, upgrading infrastructure would cut emission of greenhouse gas and control climate change. Buildings require cement, and it is produced by heating limestone, giving rise to carbon dioxide level. Now, when you upgrade your infrastructure, it could probably help prevent climate change. And lastly, we have personal solutions to global warming. There are many steps which everyone can take in order to control the climate change. A small step by anyone can make a difference. Drive less or cycle more while going to work, or upgrade your refrigerator and air conditioner, especially if they are more than 5 years old. Then even though that's a small thing, then it can probably help prevent or avoid climate change. Lessen climate change. So to end this lesson, let us have a sort of a recap. You have learned about climate change, and it is indeed occurring and almost certainly due to human activity. You have also learned what are the effects and the possible solutions for climate change. And yeah, that's all for our lesson. I hope you learned something from me today. This is your teacher, Teacher Jai. Thank you and see you again.